In a brazen attack that sent shockwaves through the Middle East, Yemen's Houthi rebels launched a ballistic missile targeting the heart of Israel. This unprecedented strike marked the first time Houthi projectiles have traveled such a distance, covering approximately 2,000 kilometers from their launch site in Yemen to their target in central Israel. While the missile struck an uninhabited area, igniting a fire but causing no casualties, its impact resonated far beyond the immediate blast zone. Air raid sirens blared across the region, sending Israelis scrambling for shelter as the incoming missile triggered warning systems. This attack, unlike previous Houthi attempts, penetrated deep into Israeli territory, raising serious concerns about the effectiveness of Israel's vaunted air defense systems. The Houthis, in a statement released shortly after the attack, claimed responsibility and boasted of their use of a new hypersonic missile. They attributed the failure of Israeli defenses to intercept the missile to its advanced capabilities. This audacious strike is not an isolated incident. In July, a deadly drone attack, attributed to the Houthis, hit Tel Aviv, demonstrating the group's growing reach and capabilities. Israel responded to the July attack with airstrikes on Hodeidah in Yemen, resulting in significant damage. This latest missile attack further escalates the tensions between Israel and the Houthis, fueling fears of a broader conflict engulfing the region. The fact that the missile struck central Israel, a location far beyond the range of previous Houthi attacks, underscores the escalating nature of the threat. This attack is a stark reminder that the conflict in Yemen, often viewed as a distant and contained war, has the potential to ignite a wider conflagration with global implications. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded to the Houthi missile attack with a fiery condemnation, vowing swift and severe retaliation. "The Houthis will pay a heavy price for this attack," Netanyahu declared, his words echoing across the region. He emphasized that Israel is engaged in a multi-front battle against Iran and its allies, including the Houthis, whom he sees as a proxy force for Tehran. Netanyahu, known for his hawkish stance, hinted at a potential military response referencing past Israeli airstrikes in Yemen. His statements reflect Israel's unwavering policy of responding forcefully to any attacks on its territory. The Israeli government views the Houthis as an extension of Iran, its arch-foe in the region. This latest incident, with its potential to draw Israel further into the Yemeni conflict, could escalate tensions between Israel and Iran, raising the specter of a wider regional war. Netanyahu's tough talk plays well with his political base and reinforces his image as a strong leader. However, it also puts immense pressure on his government to respond decisively, potentially leading to a cycle of violence and retaliation that could spiral out of control. The use of a hypersonic missile, if confirmed, represents a significant escalation in the conflict between Israel and the Houthis. Hypersonic weapons, traveling at speeds exceeding Mach 5, are extremely difficult to intercept due to their velocity and maneuverability. The successful use of such a weapon by the Houthis would demonstrate a concerning leap in their military capabilities and pose a direct challenge to Israel's air defenses. This incident has far-reaching implications for regional security. It underscores the volatility of the situation in Yemen, and the potential for the conflict to spill over into neighboring countries, drawing in regional powers and destabilizing the entire Middle East. The involvement of major players like Iran and Saudi Arabia further complicates the situation, creating a tinderbox where a miscalculation could ignite a regional war. Beyond the immediate military threat, the attack raises questions about the effectiveness of Israel's air defense systems, considered among the most sophisticated in the world. The fact that a Houthi missile, launched from such a distance, was able to penetrate Israeli airspace is a cause for concern and will likely trigger a thorough review of Israel's defense capabilities. Section 4, A World on Edge, International Condemnation, and Calls for Calm. The international community reacted to the Houthi missile attack with a mixture of condemnation and appeals for restraint. The United Nations, through its spokesperson, condemned the attack and called on all parties to exercise restraint and avoid further escalation. The UN stressed the importance of dialogue and diplomacy in resolving the conflict in Yemen, urging all sides to return to the negotiating table. The United States, a staunch ally of Israel, strongly condemned the attack and reaffirmed its unwavering support for Israel's right to defend itself. However, the US also urged all parties to de-escalate the situation and avoid actions that could further destabilize the region. The Biden administration, while standing by its ally, is clearly concerned about the potential for this incident to escalate into a wider conflict. The European Union also condemned the attack, adding its voice to the chorus of international concern. The EU expressed deep concern about the humanitarian situation in Yemen, devastated by years of war, and called for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. The international community, while divided on many issues, seems united in its desire to prevent the Yemen war from spiraling out of control. Section 5. A wider war, Yemen's conflict threatens to engulf the Middle East. The Houthi missile strike on Israel is the latest and most alarming development in the ongoing conflict in Yemen. The Houthis, a Shia Muslim group, have been locked in a bitter war against the Yemeni government and a Saudi-led coalition since 2014. This conflict has plunged Yemen into a humanitarian catastrophe, with millions facing famine and displacement. While the Houthis have repeatedly targeted Saudi Arabia with missile and drone attacks, this strike deep inside Israeli territory marks a dangerous escalation. It raises the very real possibility that the Yemen conflict, already a proxy war involving regional powers, could drag Israel into a direct confrontation with Iran and its allies. The international community, recognizing the gravity of the situation, is stepping up its efforts to find a peaceful solution to the Yemen conflict. The UN is working to revive stalled peace talks, while various countries are engaging in shuttle diplomacy, hoping to persuade the warring parties to lay down their arms and negotiate a settlement. Section 6. The path forward: diplomacy or disaster in a volatile region. The Houthi missile attack on Israel serves as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of conflicts in the Middle East and the potential for regional escalation. The path forward is fraught with peril, with two starkly different scenarios emerging. The first and most hopeful scenario involves a concerted effort by the international community to broker a ceasefire in Yemen and revive peace talks. This would require all sides to make difficult compromises and for external actors to use their influence to push for a negotiated settlement. Success in this endeavor would not only end the suffering in Yemen, but also reduce the risk of a wider regional conflagration. The second, and far more dangerous scenario, involves continued escalation and the expansion of the conflict. If Israel retaliates militarily against the Houthis, it could trigger a chain reaction, drawing Iran into the conflict and igniting a regional war. Such a conflict would have devastating consequences, not only for the Middle East but for the entire world. The choice between these two paths is stark. The international community must seize this opportunity to push for peace in Yemen before it's too late. The alternative, a wider war in the Middle East, is a scenario too horrific to contemplate.